Okay.
We're live?
Live.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to IFTV. Michael, before you change the camera angle, we have a very, very special guest back at the podcast, a very busy man, but we're happy to have him back. And we were hoping to get you for the Napoli Juventus match. Unfortunately, it didn't go through. But either way, we're happy to be here. And I'm going to say this now. I don't think we ever have anybody more requested to come back on the podcast than Ludovico himself. Ludo, welcome back, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Glad to be back. First of all, I want to apologize for my voice. It's not 100%. I guess the screaming, the yelling, the humidity catches up when you reach a certain age. But it's a pleasure to be back, and glad to see everyone.
Hey, you brought a little gift over here, right?
We're talking soccer, so we want to create that
the atmosphere, right?
That Italian bar atmosphere where you discuss soccer among friends, and you have a drink and you talk about about football. We don't want to say soccer. We want to say football.
Yeah, football.
Out of respect for our fans around the
globe.
Around the globe, our listeners around the globe. Glad to be back.
Salute.
Salute. Happy football, everyone.
Yes, sir.
We're back.
I hope it's going to be a great, safe season for everyone.
There's a lot of chaos going on, but we stick together and we drink a little
Yes. Well, leave it up to the Italians to create the drama.
Exactly. The fans are going crazy right now. They're very excited to have you back.
I'm glad to be back and discuss soccer and simply just give my opinions. They're only my opinions.
So we're going to go through everything right now. Obviously, the thing that everybody wants to hear from us that we're getting messages about is the Juventus versus Napoli match, where there's a lot of drama, a lot of politics in play. We're going to tell you exactly what happened, our opinion on the situation, but also a little bit about the transfer market, because we have a few big moves that are coming through. Also, the round 3 that just ended, we still did have some games, even though 2 were canceled. We have a couple of talking points that we're gonna have to get through and discuss. And also, Napoli before this, aside from this, the how the team is looking, and I think that's where I wanted to start with you. Is Napoli, in my opinion, was very underrated going into the season. A lot of people kind of slept on Napoli, and maybe me included, where I didn't think they would look as good, but in the opening 2 games, with certain players, Osimhen, we still haven't learned how to say his name.
Wait, Ludo,
I call him Victor. It's easier.
Vittorio, right?
Vittorio, right?
So how have you felt as a Napoli fan, a true Napoli fan, about how it seemed, how the start of the season seemed versus how it started?
Well, the Napoli transfer market really took place back in January, when we purchased a few players. We purchased Lobotka, we purchased Demme, Politano. Napoli spent a considerable amount of money back in January. A little bit too late. I still think about the 91 points, the Scudetto that we lost to Juventus, and I think that winter transfer market, De Laurentiis didn't buy not even one player. And I guess he could have done a little bit more and not leave that bench very short for Sarri, that we had to give up on the Europa League, and we could have made the run. So now it happened in January. Then you buy a 21-year-old and you spend 80 million euros, the highest paid African player in history. But I guess I'm really surprised, and I'm glad about Lozano. I think last year, I'm not even counting that he was in Napoli. He was not training the right way. His muscles were very weak. He was not taking it seriously, and he did not know what Serie A was all about. Now, Napoli has a brand new player, someone that you can count on. He knows Serie A. He knows the opponents. He knows what to do. He trains really, really hard. And Gattuso gave him a lot of confidence, and he gave him the first 2 starts. And I think he was going to start against Juventus as well today.
For sure. It's like a new signing too, having
Yes,
Lozano,
for me, Lozano never put on a Napoli jersey last year. For me, it's a brand new signing. So you have a 40 million euro player, the 80 million plus what you purchased in January. Now we have depth. We have a decent bench that you can rely on. The group is there. The locker room is solid. Gattuso looks like everyone respects the coach, and everybody's on the same page, and that's what's important.
It's classic, like Galliani used to always say, like a player coming back from injury, he's like, "Oh, it's a new signing coming for us."
Agree.
In January, he was very famous for always saying that. But it's a fair point, and it's also a lot of players that come in, we expect. It was a big transfer at the time. I think it was Napoli's highest transfer, Lozano, last year. Wasn't it their
Yes.
highest transfer in the history? So there's high expectations, but when you come from a different league who trains very differently, there's been many players who, when they come to Serie A, they say, the way that I was training in one league or at one team, very different, and it took time to adapt. So it's a good point that Lozano is a new signing for Napoli, and I think Napoli, everybody was struck with coronavirus in terms of the finances of the club, but Napoli was one of the only teams that didn't look like they had to sell. In terms of finances,
Correct.
They did not have to
We're
sell.
on the positive. Yes, we don't.
There's a few.
We
clubs,
don't need to sell.
There's a few clubs that
Well,
needed
everyone
to
has
sell.
debts
that
in.
would- that's Napoli.
But Napoli was
90% of the clubs in Serie A, they are in debt except Napoli. We don't need to sell. We don't need to sell Koulibaly, and I'm glad he's staying unless something happens before midnight.
Very unlikely.
Before midnight tomorrow. But Napoli really doesn't need to. Napoli really doesn't need to sell.
Exactly, and that's a plus in a market like this. Like you said, you also have bargaining power with that, and the transfer market closes tomorrow at midnight. If you're watching right now live, October 5th. And Koulibaly was a hot name to be, he's going to leave. No, all of a sudden he's staying, most likely staying. Like you said, I don't think there's any real reports that he's going to leave.
But he never mentioned, never
not
stated
him.
that
Not
he
him.
wanted
Yeah,
to leave.
exactly.
He loves Naples. Naples loves him. He loves the people, the atmosphere, the
a great
city. I
guy.
guess it's that
Yeah.
that city image that has been created in Napoli. Like all these players, the Mertens, the Koulibaly, they became like Neapolitans. The Fabian Ruiz, the Zielinski.
They buy into the city.
They buy into the city, into
It's
that
a family. It's like a
into that
family.
fabric
Yeah.
of the city. It's like they
Yeah.
become Neapolitans. So they like
He's
to
one
stay
of
there. They like to live there. They like to continue. So, but Napoli said, "Listen, if the right offer," then he said, "Okay, if you think I should go, then I'll go. But I'm not requesting
Yeah.
a transfer."
Exactly.
So he had 2 great games. He started on the right. Looks like we found the Koulibaly of a couple of years ago, determined and solid in the back, and it looks like also the chemistry with Manolas seems to grow.
There we go.
Too bad that we
Koulibaly
still
and
haven't found.
Manolas right here.
The
Too
best
bad we still
friends,
haven't found
the left back.
a good left fullback. But
Mario Rui improved a little bit. He's not as bad as he once was, but he's decent. But yeah, like you
he
said,
still
in
has
this
to learn to
situation-
cross the
yeah,
ball.
That's true.
That's the
no.
thing
But
is,
you're
whoever
right.
has a decent left fullback will not sell. They're hard to come by.
That's true. Fullbacks in general is very
Yeah,
hard.
especially on the left side. The
Yeah.
right side, you find,
A little bit more. Di Lorenzo's great. Has been great.
Di Lorenzo has been
Yeah,
since he
very
came
great.
from Empoli, he's solid and he plays. And then we have the two goalkeepers dilemma. I
Oh,
guess
yeah. That's
one
right.
each, but that it's also Gattuso feels that the footwork that Ospina has is better than Meret. But in a couple of games, that really didn't show. This seemed to be the case, but. We have 2 goalkeepers, but there's 10 years difference between the
Yeah.
2.
That's true.
So Meret, I think, is the future of Napoli for the next decade, at least.
For all those joining live right now, thank you for everybody for coming in. Make sure you like the video and you subscribe. It helps us out big time. Like I said, we're going to get into the situation that everybody wants to talk about, the Juventus and the Napoli. Chiesa, who's going to sign for Juventus. But before, and I don't want to go too off topic, but it's a question I have for you because we haven't spoken in a while. At least you haven't spoken here. The last time, it was a very different situation, quickly, about Sarri and his departure from Juventus. Obviously, you're a very big fan of Sarri and his philosophy and what he brought to Napoli. And I had always said that Sarri was kind of used as a scapegoat for this Juventus, to blame him for some of their failures, meaning they said, all the blame is on Sarri, when realistically it was not. And he said, the team is untrainable. From your perspective, where do you think things went wrong with Sarri? Do you think it was his fault? Do you think it was the club's fault? And how the whole situation evolved?
It was a little bit of everything. When things go wrong, just like a divorce between a couple, I mean, it's 50-50. It's not only the fault of the male or the female or different partners. So the thing that the Sarri inherited a team that he did not request, meaning a lot of these players that Juventus were getting, they were on a free transfer market, meaning they were not buying into that. They were just getting their salaries. Okay, you're free. Okay, come to us. So now it takes time, but also in order for Sarri to get his point across, you have to give your body and soul to him. His practices are boring. They are repetitive. And those players were not willing to follow that path. They were not willing to go there, to buy into a system where everything becomes repetitive. So, Sarri only knows one method. He only knows one philosophy. And trying to teach that philosophy, those players did not, the balance was not there. They never clicked in the locker room. And if you played football, amateur level or professional level, victories are created in the locker rooms. And if the locker room is not clicking and everyone is on the same page, things will not happen. Napoli finished with 91 points. He had the right players. Let's not forget that those players that Sarri inherited, they were purchased from Benitez. Convinced all these players, the Callejon, the Mertens, the Koulibaly, the Higuain, they came in because of Benitez. So Sarri found gold according to his philosophy. But I remember that it was a pact. In the locker room, everyone said, okay, Mr. Sarri, if we have to jump off a bridge, we'll do it for you. Take us to the promised land. So everyone kept their mouth shut and they followed his philosophy. Everybody gave in to him, body and soul. And that's why Napoli was able to create that beautiful football atmosphere that all of Europe, but in Juventus, it just did not happen. When you have players like Ronaldo, those people have a lot of saying in the locker room. They have a lot of voice power. They have a lot of, so it just did not click. It was not his team.
He didn't have the players.
He didn't have the players to create
players.
But now Sarri was not able to. Okay, I'm not able to make this dish. Let me try and do something different. Let me try to invent.
He doesn't know how to do that. He only knows one system.
Right. He has one system.
That's
just
why it
like
was unfair.
Zeman.
Exactly. Exactly.
In your opinion,
Gianpaolo, same thing. And he's making the same mistake in Torino as he did in Milano, as he did in Sampdoria. He's making because the philosophy then. But again, these coaches, they want to work. They want to work. They don't want. There's a lot of coaches out there. Coaches are being brought into the system on a yearly basis. So if somebody offers you a contract, one or two, you're going to try to sell what I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Yeah. But then 3 months pass by, you get fired, but at least you have a salary for the next couple of years.
Just nice benefits, right?
Absolutely. Everybody. Who's going to be able to afford Sarri now? He's home sitting watching TV and getting 5.5 million clean.
Spalletti's living the good life
after
now,
tax.
Right?
He's going to get 11 million euros after tax from Juventus for the next 2 years. By just sitting on who can afford it?
What are we doing on this podcast then? Let's get our license.
I guess we're doing something wrong.
In your opinion, just to conclude, do you think Juventus would have been better off keeping Sarri one more year and getting the players around him and building this, or do you think it was better that they both separated ways because they weren't going to be working together?
No, I think it was the right time for Sarri to go.
Okay.
Juventus also has to understand that by adding band-aids on a yearly basis will not get you anywhere. You could win the Scudetto. You have the power. You have the roster. You have the money. You're going to win the Scudetto. But is that what you really want? Or you want to create something solid for Europe? Let's take Bayern Munich. Look at the roster. Look how much they paid for those players.
Yeah.
And look at what they're producing.
Exactly.
So you need patience. You need to create a cycle. Do you want to create a cycle that you just want to win the Scudetto and you'll be happy? Or you want to win a cycle and say, okay, we're going to go for the Champions League in 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Again, you're going to get to the final. Winning is not guaranteed, but at least you're competing on a yearly basis by buying the right players and creating, competing and giving these players time to mature.
Exactly.
That's the problem with Italian soccer. I keep saying soccer.
Say it. It's fine. You grew
Italian
up in
football. It's that we don't give enough time for players to mature. We want everything quickly.
Exactly.
It takes time. And that's what Juventus needs to learn. And maybe with Pirlo, they're on the right track. Buying certain players, young players that need to
Gel needs time to
Correct.
gel.
I think
the
you worded
environment.
that very perfectly, and I agree that the ideas from Juventus is more so we got this opportunity, let's grab this. We got this opportunity, let's grab it. It's all seeing these opportunities without
Right.
really having a core plan at hand. So I completely agree with you. Well said. Before we continue, people are asking, do you have a Milan shirt under there? They're seeing the red,
No.
and they said, is it a Milan?
He
It's
said
Brooklyn
no.
Italians.
You said it really quick there, huh?
No, Brooklyn Italians, we have red polos and we have royal polos.
Okay.
This is the one I found first.
I like
And
the
that's what
blue
I
one,
want.
to be honest, better. It looks nice.
That's why you put the blow on top. It's for a reason.
Right, no, it's no, red, no.
You act like no. Anyway, let's before we go on to the next, let's talk about some of the games. Any games that you found really interesting? Mine was Atalanta against Cagliari. This Atalanta is absolutely incredible. I believe 13 goals in 3 games from Atalanta. They continue to surprise me match after match and year after year, because every year I'm saying to myself, all right, they're going to have to stop at this point. There's no way they can continue with this. And they just look better and better. In my opinion, Papu Gomez right now is the best player in Serie A.
Agreed.
The guy is simply phenomenal and incredible to watch.
It's an orchestra. Atalanta is the only EPL team that plays in Serie A. Atalanta is an EPL team
They got better tactics than
that
some Premier
plays.
League teams.
Yeah.
That, well,
A
you
little
have
bit
to,
better
you have
de-
to
a little bit
adapt
better
to the Italian.
defense.
To the
Nah,
but
the
but
defense.
it's an orchestra. It's an orchestra that they move at the same time, and the defense, the midfield, the forwards, they play. They know where they are. They're in great shape, and again, the locker room. They're happy to be there. They're happy to play for Gasperini. Gasperini communicates with them. Everyone knows their exact roles, where they need to be, and they run, and they run, and they run. Now, it remains to be seen. Usually when it's the second year, now they made Champions League.
Yeah.
Well, they made also last year, so now they want to approach Champions League in a little bit in a different way than they did last year. They have more experience, so now we have to see if the Champions League and the Serie A will be a little bit too much work for them, too much fatigue and concentrating. Let's say Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, that you have to play three matches a week. Last year you went, you just went and played and said, okay, whatever happens, nobody expects
Us
anything
to go
from
far,
us.
Exactly.
But now last year, I guess they want to prove something in Champions League, but it requires a lot of mental, a lot of concentration, and a lot of work. But the beginning looks promising. It's a joy to watch Atalanta play. It's really
They're incredible.
It's really fun.
Ludo, I was gonna ask you a question. We're all huge fans of Atalanta, of course. Gasperini actually said that this season that they have a better squad than last season. They want to finish.
You're asking what
probably
I was about to
higher.
ask. Say it,
I
say
just want to know your side of it. They finished 3rd position last season. Incredible. No one expected them to even finish Champions League. I think most of us in the podcast said outside top 4. If they have a better squad and they have more experience now, and they got more reinforcements, they didn't sell any starters.
Ask the question, Mike.
What position? Where can Atalanta finish?
No.
Where
Can
do you
it-
think?
can
they
Atalanta win
compete
this
for the
Scudetto?
Scudetto?
This is
Could
a
they
question for
compete?
everybody right now.
It is, yeah.
Looking at how Juventus have looked
Honestly.
in the start of the season, and
Yeah.
again, it's only 2 games, but we have to judge what we have at stake. That's
Yeah,
it. That's what we're here
exactly.
for. Otherwise, we wait till round 38 and we say exactly what happened. We're just reading the clues. We've seen Inter and their defense and how they've looked in certain matches, and their tie with Lazio today. And Juventus have looked shaky. Honestly, is it possible for this Atalanta to win the Scudetto?
It is. Absolutely. I agree. Well, let's go back to the EPL and look what Leicester did.
That year, magic
back,
year.
The magic year,
2014.
where everything goes your way. Everything that you touch becomes gold. The impossible shot goes in. Your goalkeeper makes the impossible save. It's that perfect year that only happens once in a lifetime.
You're painting a
I
picture
see
in
a
my head
movie.
right now.
I see a movie
I'm
in my head
watching
right
this.
now.
I see it unfold.
I see Gasperini running around doing all
So
these.
Leicester, if you watch all those games and you watch the highlights, everything
was
went
perfect. It was
Everything
perfect.
You have
Perfect.
to be perfect in order. But can it happen? Yes, it can happen. And now you guys can tell me, Leicester, when it happened, were there in Champions League?
No.
They were not.
No.
So they were playing one game a week.
They just came from Serie B.
Correct. So they one play a week and everything clicked and it was a magical year, a magical season.
Yeah.
Now Atalanta, you have 3 games a week, which you have to play and you have to concentrate. And then you have to recharge again on Thursday in order to be ready for the next Serie A. You have a long bench. It could be a magical season. It absolutely can. It absolutely
Oh
can
man,
happen.
I want this to
believe so.
happen so
Mike.
badly.
What do you think?
Me, like Ludo said, it is a little bit of a long shot. Could they win? Man, we should. You know what we should do? We should put a lottery ticket and just go for the odds. See what it is. Throw $50 on it.
Everything
Whatever
has to
happens,
click.
happen. Atalanta right now, 3 games in. They look like the team from last season, but maybe even a little bit hungrier. They know what they have to do. They've played in Champions League before, so I feel like you said, this is not their first season with Champions League. This is their second season with Champions League. They
Now
didn't
the
sell any
approach is
stuff.
different
Now exactly.
than the first time
And
around.
Now,
Mike, there's a lot of factors that
there
need
is
to
a lot
click.
of factors. That's what I'm saying. It's
Healthy.
very difficult.
The players have to be healthy. They have to remain in shape. They all have to produce, all 11 of them, and whoever comes from the bench has to have to produce and be on the same page. You cannot have 7 players this week that are.
They can't drop
in
points
great
against the
shape.
smaller teams. There's a lot.
You
Yeah.
cannot lose that concentration. And I'm just
100%.
thinking that when you play Sunday, now Monday you have to charge yourself
Recuperate.
mentally for a Champions League game, and now on Thursday you're basically you're drained,
Yeah.
and now you have to think again about
On
Sunday.
repeat. It's on repeat.
The thing about Atalanta, and I will say this very confidently, I think when it's their match, and it's very often their match, they are better than Juventus and Inter. They play better football than Juventus and Inter. They're capable of beating both Juventus and Inter. The only reason why I feel a little bit reluctant to say so is I think that the depth and the bench will matter. And especially this year,
turnover. You have to rely on the
absolutely,
turnovers.
with 5 substitutions, I think it's going to play a major advantage to those with bigger budgets that are able to invest in these players. When Inter can bring on Sensi, Barella, Sanchez, all these guys
Vidal,
on the bench,
all these players,
it's not
absolutely.
a thing that Atalanta can compete with. And yes, they have some good players off the bench, but I think over a long season, if this was a tournament, I would say Atalanta can win it. If this is like a World Cup tournament, 1 month, that's it, full concentration, knockout matches, I honestly believe Atalanta can win it. And I'm not saying they're not going to win the Scudetto. They definitely will be challenging in that range. But I think that the depth and a lot of money aspects will play in a long tail season of the league, unless you have this very special thing that clicks, which is something that we can't predict.
Yeah,
I think that that's the only thing that holds Atalanta back.
Turnover, Marco, and health.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Papo Gomez. You said a few minutes ago, best player in Serie A.
Yeah.
Healthy, he never goes down. You know, certain
Always
players like 4,
produces.
5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The physical ability drop, and then they're back into shape.
He's consistent.
He's consistent.
Yes.
He's been consistent
Week in
for the
and week out.
He's a major player in that team. He's the one that sows the
Pulls all the passes together in that team to
correct.
make it happen.
So now you need health. Everyone to be healthy,
Everyone to produce.
and the turnovers. You cannot rely on the same 11, 12, 13, like you said, 14 players. Wednesday,
you can't.
Sunday, Wednesday. You
not
need to have
possible.
a proper turnover.
And today, by the way, real quick, I've been very against I don't like the 5 substitution rule. I don't think that it should be. I think 3 was more than 5. I think 5 plays into the hands of teams with have bigger budgets too much. And I think that what's not broke didn't need to be fixed. And I know that they changed it last year because of COVID. And there was like, okay,
Too
fine.
many games in
That's
close
fine.
proximity.
That's fine. To me, this season, they should not have 5 substitutions. We've all given our opinion on it.
yeah,
For the most
that's
part, we've
true.
all agreed that there shouldn't be 5. I don't know if you feel differently.
Well, everybody has these 5 subs. I agree with the 5 subs because too many games in close proximity. Unless next year you're not going to have the European Cup, you have to finish by a certain time. You have to play so many games. You have
Okay,
Champions League.
fair enough.
You have Europa League. You have Coppa Italia. So you don't want everyone to be.
I get what you're saying, but doesn't this
enough.
doesn't this give another bullet to the
absolutely.
bigger teams?
But
Too much of an
absolutely.
overkill? Like for
Absolutely.
Inter brought in 5 world-class players and like, oh my, it was
Yeah, but
crazy.
Absolutely.
you can't use that as the only
I know,
argument.
I don't want
Because
to,
while
but
I agree
it's
with that, and I'm
crazy.
saying that, hearing Michael say that, it's also a big excuse because Inter did a lot to be able to achieve
Okay,
this.
yeah.
Qualifying for Champions League, put extra revenue where they're able to get this. So being consistent and having results also put money in their pocket to be able to extend there. So we can't say it completely. And we think we have to take it logically, whatever. Lazio Inter we watched today, 1-1. Wasn't as great of a match. I know you didn't see the match, but for us, it wasn't as good as we were expecting. Inter started off, Lautaro scored early on. Lazio started building into the match into the second half. And right as Lazio, you felt like Lazio was going to be able to take the lead. They tied 1-1. Right as they were taking the lead, they got this red card to Immobile. The match was killed. The game was completely killed. Nothing else happened from that point on.
All the excitement was
no
sucked
real
out
chances.
of the game.
I was disappointed in the way Inter looked. I didn't think they looked very good. Skriniar did good in the back three. I think that was a one note.
Right.
But
well, both teams played the same formation, the 3-5-2.
Exactly.
But Inter played the first half. They got tired the second half. Lazio came out.
Yes. And I had predicted an Inter win in this one, so I was kind of shocked. But yeah, both teams. I think that the opponents looked at this and they were kind of happy. Everybody was kind of happy to see, Inter and Lazio, they both got a draw piece. Nobody got the win. Nobody got the 3 points. And I don't think either side did enough to win the 3 points.
Yeah. No, I just want to add to your point. It is crazy how it was back and forth. The 2 red cards did kill the game from the first red card. But now I just want to bring something up. The week before, I'm not sure if you saw, Atalanta beat Lazio. I think it was 4-1. And they absolutely took them to town. They controlled the game absolutely. Like, there was you didn't see Lazio coming back from that. Atalanta handed them the goals. That's it, got the 3 points. And now you see Inter struggling against Lazio. Is this just like a coincidence, you think, Ludo, or you think, like...
Well, Inter, at this point, cannot hide any longer. Last year, Conte came along.
You have the excuse one first season.
Yes, now the second year, Inter has to go for the title. Inter has to try to win the title. You cannot
100%.
lie. It's the first year.
Exactly.
Players don't know each other. The chemistry and the I didn't have this player. I didn't have the depth. Inter tried its best, the club, to make Conte happy in every request. Let's hope he doesn't complain this year as much as he did, because he always likes to complain and blame something. You have the depth, you have the players.
Well, according to him today, he said that he doesn't have the depth in attack, and that for a team that's playing every 3 days, he needs more attackers, by the way. He said he has the minimum. Lautaro, Lukaku, and Esposito.
Yeah.
Well, I wish other teams had those issues. I wish other teams had. So Inter this year cannot hide. You have to try to go for the Scudetto. Lazio, I felt that Lotito, the president, you started a beautiful cycle a few years ago. You purchased these players at a reasonable price. Now they became champions. They're producing. You qualified for Champions League. But I felt Lolito is holding back in investing and buying additional players and giving Inzaghi the depth that he needs in order to compete in Champions League and Serie A for the top 4.
Absolutely.
Now for the Scudetto, I think the Scudetto, it's still, technically speaking, between the two teams, because the others financially cannot be at the same level like Inter and Juventus investment-wise and have those rosters. Not even Napoli can. I feel bad, for mentioning this for the Napoli fans. I know we have a lot of Napoli fans, but we haven't won a Scudetto in 1990, and we're not going to win it anytime soon, because we don't have the ability to purchase or to have the roster or to pay the kind of salaries that Inter and Juventus can at this point. Milan, I believe in 3-4 years, they also will be at that point. But not now. We're still too soon.
Yeah, they're building.
And they're building, and it's going to take 3-4 years. But eventually Milan will be at the same level of Juventus and Inter, where you're going to say, okay, come to play for me. Here's 9 million euros a year. Here's 10 for you. Here's 7 for you. Napoli cannot do that. Roma cannot do that. Lazio cannot do that. But I felt Lazio could have done
More.
a little bit
Okay.
more,
They'll-
Lolito,
I get what you're
to
saying.
build up that roster
Yeah.
and try to make it more
To fight for all the competition. David Silva almost
to fight,
went to
and
So, that
compete,
would be
because the
nice.
way Lazio is this year, yes, they did buy a couple of players.
They didn't sell any of their starters too, which is also very important.
Yeah, but if one of those guys gets hurt, you're done.
That's true. That's true.
You don't have the replacements
No,
to,
you're right.
you know, you don't have the replacements to come in.
I think the right way to say this is that obviously over the long haul, the team that's most in depth, obviously there's factors. You know, for a team like Napoli, Lazio, Atalanta, Roma, they really need that really special season, like you said, that everything goes their way, and that's the way that they would be able to win the Scudetto. It's kind of these off moments, kind of like when Sarri had the team at Napoli, where everything was working and it was such a beautiful orchestra that was it. But you're saying most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, is going to go to the team that's able to spend monies. There can
That
still
has
be
the
the
depth,
off
yes.
time. It's not saying that it will not happen, but you really need everything to go in your favor, and you need something special to happen. I think is more so your
We're
point.
talking, Mark. We're always talking about here Serie A. We're talking about the Scudetto here. We're not talking about European competitions. Inter and Juventus have the depth. They have the players. They have the rosters. They have the financial means to compete for the Scudetto. Champions League, different animal, different discussion for another day,
Yeah.
where you need to build, and not just by getting player A, player B, come for me. It's going to happen.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of factors that
Fair
go
enough.
into winning a Champions League. It's more a little bit more of programming
Yeah.
that for the Champions League, and a
Mil-
lot of luck also.
Milan beat Spezia 3-0. Again, another win for Milan. I don't know if you saw their game against Rio Ave, but it was an insane penalty shootouts too. They're off into the Europa League. But Milan obviously hit with Zlatan, who had the coronavirus, and he's been out. And the one thing, I think my dad brought it up when we were previewing the season before he had the coronavirus, was what do Milan do if they lose Zlatan Ibrahimovic? And kind of luckily, in their favor, they've had more easier games right now. Like Spezia is not a team that really impresses me. Crotone, which is it favored Milan in the sense that now they have also the international break where they could get Zlatan back. So great job by Milan, and they're starting the season kind of where they left it off. Which you still got to go out there and win the games. Doesn't matter who's in front of you. We know some of these smaller teams.
Of course.
They
They
packed
close
the box.
upsets.
Crotone against Milan. They packed the box. They just tried to ruin Milan's game. That was the only game plan from Crotone, was let's stop Milan from trying to even play football.
They parked the bus.
And it's hard. It's very hard to play against. So credit to Milan, because either way, you still have to get
That's
the
the
job
problem
done.
that Napoli with Sarri was having against most of the teams. They were parking the bus.
Not letting them
And
do their
Napoli
passes.
was going, yes,
Exactly.
yeah, and you can't. It's hard to penetrate. No, I'm really happy for Pioli. I have to tip my hat off to Pioli, and I'm happy that an historical Italian club like Milan came to their senses and not started this revolution that they wanted to start back in December by bringing
Draghi
and changing
stuff.
everything. Correct. Pioli deserves to be where he is. He has done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Great job creating that atmosphere, creating a solid team. The locker room is together. Everybody follows what he says. They follow his commands. The way the team plays, everybody is on the same page, and I'm happy for.
Agreed.
And I'm happy for.
I agree with
for
you.
You
Milan.
think he's gonna last a season? You think Pioli's gonna last a season?
Oh, absolutely. He lasts this season, and
it
he also
seems
will
nice-
last the following season
Oh,
as
wow,
well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
It's gonna be
agree with you, and
interesting.
I definitely feel like from the historic part, I don't want to speak too soon, but it does excite me to see Milan back, as we want to say, and I think that this is one of their first years that I really feel like they can make Champions League. Obviously, there's a lot of things that have to go correct, of course, but the young core of the team and a few players that I think that they're going to be implemented in the right way, and I definitely agree with you that we agree with this very much so, is that they need time, and doing this overhaul for a guy like Ranić, who I personally don't know at all. And after Pioli, the results that he was bringing in, Zlatan being behind him, the team really being behind Pioli, I thought it would have made no sense to get rid of him. So I think it shows the seriousness of the club to get back to where Milan belongs.
And also bringing in the correct players. They have made a few mistakes in the past in purchasing players that did not fit
Their system.
that
Yeah,
their
the project.
system,
Yeah.
and now they actually
Like
are
who?
learning from those. Well, Paquetá,
No, like who do you think, or who are you saying that they're bringing in that you think is smart?
bringing in players that now they're actually listening to the coach and what he wants. They did bring in a couple. Now they bring in this guy Duarte.
Yeah.
And a couple of
Dio.
other players that are coming in. they're fitting that that pattern. Remember, guys, I personally think that when the team feels that the club, it's not there, they're missing the president, their appearance, the administration, just like Roma is going through now. When who wants to sell? This guy wants to sell. I want to buy.
Yeah.
I'm not there. I don't know who's people are giving. Are retiring, people that want to leave, administration, Boban left, and a lot of things were happening around Christmas time where maybe the club was going to be sold. Maldini was gone, Boban left. Oh, this guy doing my job. What was I hired for? How come I didn't call this player? Why somebody else did this, did that? The players feel that.
Yeah.
So you need to have that solid administration from the top. And that's where Roma this year, I think, with the new president coming in, a lot of guys that left, the vice president, the sporting director leaving, and things that are happening, it's not good for the team. The team needs to know that the club is behind them. They're being supported by the club.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very important.
Before we get to the next topic, I want to remind everybody, there's a lot of people in the chat right now. Thank you for everybody that's commenting and sending in donations. I want to remind everybody, please like this video and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. It helps us out big time. One thing before we go to the Chiesa news, and I just remembered off the top of my head, I was reading the comments and I saw some of them saying it. The Vidal red card, how he got a red card to Ciro Immobile, and then Sensi's red card. We've said for a long time, I've been pushing this for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, on the softness that football is becoming, where, guys that act, I mean, Vidal, he did get hit in the face, but in my opinion, that, and then Sensi's push to his chin, and Patrick completely, I will 100% guarantee you, Patrick got hit on the chin. You could see him. If you watch his face, you could literally think to himself, oh, I could get this guy a red card. And then he falls to the ground, grabbing his face.
He had like
as if he got shot in the face.
He had a grace period that he thought about.
I think it's really embarrassing. And I do blame the players. I think they are obviously at fault. But I also blame the refereeing. I think that if we keep giving this as red cards, we're only going to see... It's like if a kid acts up, right? You got a little baby. Doesn't act good. Starts crying. And then you give him a lollipop when he starts crying so he stops crying. The baby next time knows, hey, to get the lollipop, all I got to do is cry. Oh, beautiful. I cry. Lollipop. That's the wrong thing that we have to do. You have to teach them on the opposite side of how to not cry without getting the lollipop. And then when you don't cry and you're not good, that's how you could get it. And I think that we're just way too soft. Even today, Martial got sent off for Manchester United from Lamela. I mean, Lamela hits him first.
He elbowed him in the face.
Martial slaps him back. The way I grew up with football, this is nothing. This is not even a yellow card. This is, guys, go play. Let's go. We don't want to ruin the game. We're not going to kill the game over here. We're here to watch football. 11v11. Let's not change the match entirely over a stupid slap, which in my opinion, contact is fine, but red cards is ridiculous. For all three of these that I saw today, in my opinion, none of them are red cards. If you want, you give a yellow card apiece just to be nice, this and that, but max yellow cards. I don't know if you saw, did you see the challenges?
No, the challenge I did not see. But overall, in general, I think in today's football, the famous players, they're protected because it's a business. So they don't want the player to get hurt and miss a few games because then the TV ratings go down and the sponsorships. That's
a fair point.
It's all a package that goes into it. I mean, I don't know how old our fan ratio is. Mostly young guys.
18 to like
it's
30.
In the 20s.
18 to okay. So I suggest to our fans that are watching now, go to YouTube. Watch the 80s soccer, 70 and 80 and the 90s.
That's a real.
Look at the way those players used to be taken down and fouled, and they got back up, and the referee
was taken
never
down how many times a game?
never whistled. But now they want to protect the player. They want to protect the famous player. They want to protect the sponsorships. They want to protect the game. And the referees are told that, to protect these guys. But then these guys that feel that they're protected, they take advantage. So in the box, they go down right away. Oh, I'm famous, so I'm going to get called a penalty. I'm not going to mention any names. I mean, in every league, you have those players, and they take advantage of the system. They take advantage
100%.
of the referee. They fall down a little thing. They're going to dive in the box. No, you're a champion. You're supposed to be an example for a child that's watching you, and not to show this child that looks up to you to dive in the box and look for a
Penalty.
look for a penalty.
I understand the protection, but when you're getting these touches to the face and then you're throwing yourselves on the ground, those I can't stand for at all. That's, if it's challenges from behind, I understand completely. But when it's hits to the face and then the guy thinks about it, he says, I could send him off. He has a delayed reaction to what's happening. I don't know. In my opinion, it's not the right way. Anyway, Chiesa, it looks like he is joining Juventus. A long-awaited move, I think, for Federico Chiesa. A year ago, we were saying that he was begging to move. He wanted to leave Fiorentina. Now it seems like Douglas Costa is going to Bayern Munich. Rugani is on Rennes. De Sciglio is leaving. He's going to Lyon. Juventus had to sell some players. It's going to be structured in a unique way for Juventus. 2 million loan for the first year. 8 million loan for the second year, and then a 40 million obligation to buy under certain requirements, appearances, etc., etc. This is via Fabrizio Romano and Sky Italia, our boy over there. And Juventus will sign Chiesa on a 2-year loan with obligation to buy. Total deal around 60 million euros. I think payable over 4 years, whatever. Doesn't really matter.
It's not done yet.
It's not done yet.
No.
It's not done yet.
Yeah.
They're hoping to conclude it by tomorrow, obviously,
Correct.
which is the final
But the
day.
thing is that's holding this deal from being finalized. Well, Chiesa has to play within the 2 years. Has to play minimum 60% of the games. He has to score minimum 10 goals, and he has to give 10 assists. But now, what Chiesa is requiring, because now if these requirements do not click, do not take place, he goes back. But now, if Juventus is promising him, is going to sign him a contract with $1, if he goes back to Fiorentina, he wants the same dollar. And Commisso is not willing to do that because he cannot match the salary that Juventus will give for the next 2 years. So he goes, okay, I'm not going to meet these requirements. I'm not going to play 60% of the games. I'm not going to score these goals. I'm not going to give these assists. Now I got to go back to Fiorentina. I want to make the same salary that I'm making at Juventus. But Fiorentina cannot afford to do that. And that's what's holding this deal from signing and putting
more
black and white.
context to that. Chiesa's on 1.8 million a year at Fiorentina. Right. Juventus is promising him 5 million, and
Correct.
he wants, just like Ludo said, he wants 5 million. He
Correct.
says, "I deserve
Absolutely.
5 million based off this." And, there's arguments either way. I'm not going to argue about the salary, whatever. It's hearsay. My opinion, I have a couple things that are on my mind. I've obviously said that, in my opinion, Chiesa is not the difference maker to make Juventus a team that challenges for anything different. I think that 60 million is a lot for Federico Chiesa. I don't know where Chiesa plays under Pirlo. They're saying left wing back or right wing back. My opinion,
They probably would try the 3-4-3.
It's just I don't see how he tips the scale in a significant way, more so than, in my opinion, a top-class center midfielder. I've said it multiple times. I thought this Juventus would benefit more from signing a guy like OR for a similar price, or someone else in the 60 million euro range for a top center midfielder, which I still believe is still lacking, more so than Federico Chiesa, who still, the kid is talented. I'm not going to say he's not. He really is. He's still 22 years old. He's very young.
Correct.
He's skilled. He's got a hunger that I really love. But at the same time, I don't know if Juventus is making the right kind of proposal for him. I don't even know if it's the right thing for him to move.
Well, Marco, here's the deal. We spoke about this 5 minutes ago. Now, if we're going to judge Chiesa on what he does the next season, then I don't think we should even be talking about it. It's like what we said, meaning, let's give it time. He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
If Juventus wants to build something solid internationally, let this kid grow. Let the kid become a Juventus fabric, to get into that Juventus mentality and the fabric of the team. Give these young players that you're purchasing now the opportunity to grow. Allow them to make the mistakes, and don't judge after one season and say, okay, you did not produce, goodbye. You're counting on this person, on this player, let him mature. Give him time to mature. You bought a McKinney, other players, young players, the player from Atalanta, I can't even pronounce his name.
Parma, you mean?
No, from
Kulusevski.
right.
Yeah.
From I apologize, not from Atalanta. From they need time. You are going to win the Scudetto. You are going to compete for the Scudetto. But is that what you really want? Does that make you happy? Does that give Juventus that international image that other clubs have? So maybe Juventus is trying to build something like Bayern Munich did by purchasing players. Look at the player that Juventus had 3 years ago and they sold to Bayern Munich.
Coma.
Okay, 1 year, he didn't produce. Goodbye. Keep him for a couple of years.
Yeah, but he had some injury problems.
Capello said that too. I feel like that quote.
Well, the thing about Coman, he had, I think it was an ankle that he said, if I have to have surgery on my ankle, I'm just gonna quit football. He was gonna retire.
It's a general perspective that I'm trying.
100%. You're 100%
Give
right.
Chiesa.
But
In
you think
3
he's
years, in 2 years, then we say, okay, Chiesa is not for Juventus, or Chiesa did
But do
mature.
you think it's
and
worth
he
the
became-
60 million risk for Juventus on Chiesa?
No, I think it's 50. It's
saying
2, 8,
60.
and 40. That's what I heard.
Okay, 50
2,
to 60
8, and
million. Okay.
For 22-year-old player that has the potential to 22, why not? I think
And where
it
do you
is.
play him? Where do you play
I
him?
would play him on the right side, the 3-4-3. I would play him on the right side.
In the front three. So
Yes,
that-
but
so
now we
that-
have to see if he's willing to sacrifice to do the defensive part.
No, so
and
he's playing in the
offense
4.
part.
He's playing in the 4 or the 3?
The 3 on the
The
right
3.
side.
Okay, so you have
So-
Ronaldo, Chiesa, and who's in the middle?
Morata
So now Dybala, where's Dybala's placed in the team?
behind.
In the 4.
But he has to do a lot of work.
No.
He has to do a lot of work.
Nah, it's
He
not
would
gonna
be
happen.
also the defensive part. He has to be able to. Can he do it physically? I think he can. But he has to adapt in doing that.
Ludo.
You know, the Callejon type of work.
track
You don't think
back.
he's
coast to
wasted?
coast.
You don't think he's wasted doing that? In my opinion, Chiesa's got to be close to goal, not running back and forth like a wing back. The guy's a talented player, clearly. He doesn't score that many goals, which is always a little bit of a burden.
Correct.
I don't think he should be sacrificing so much. The way I see it, I just don't see where he plays. I don't see how he fits into the lineup for something that Juventus don't have. In my opinion, Juventus just keep buying the same type of players that they already have. They got Kulusevski, Morata, Chiesa, Ronaldo, Dybala, and they don't even know where to play the guys. They're buying players. I don't know. Again, it seems sporadic. It seems like we love Chiesa. We're going to have to grab him. How does he fit in the team? I don't really know. What formation does Pirlo play? I don't really know.
You're saying buy now and think later is more of a thing.
I
still
think it's more of a future. I think it's more of a future investment. I think Juventus is tired of these band-aids. They want to build something internationally that in a couple of years will give
them the return back.
Yes.
But Ludo, there's a lot of talk. Do you think Chiesa could fall on the same trail back with how Bernardeschi came from Fiorentina, plays on the right wing and didn't produce, turned into the player that he was supposed to. Do you see Chiesa following that route?
Is he a
or do you think
2.0
it's
of
different?
Bernardeschi?
Exactly.
It all depends. It all depends. Who's your coach? What does he expect from you? I just feel that the way I watched. Well, Pirlo also. Now let's talk about Pirlo for 30 seconds. We also have to give Pirlo a chance.
That's true.
So are we gonna say to Pirlo in June, okay, you didn't win the Scudetto, okay, go home? If
No.
think that this person, that this coach has the potential to grow and become experienced. Let's look at Gattuso, for example. Look where Gattuso has been, and now he landed in Napoli.
He was in-
Palermo, Pisa.
He was in Greece. And
He was in
Austria.
Greece, then he came back.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of experience.
That's
You
right.
acquire experience from making mistakes. And Pirlo will make the mistakes, not just because he's a world champion. That doesn't mean he's mistake-free.
Exactly.
He will make mistakes.
Yeah.
He will lose certain games because of the tactical mistake and the
Decisions he made.
Decisions he made in
Yeah.
bringing in the right player and the right substitutions.
At the right time, yeah.
But we need to give him time in order for him to learn and acquire the experience that Gattuso has.
Well
Fair
said.
enough.
So let's build. So Juventus doesn't win the Scudetto this year. Big deal.
Yeah.
They're still going to finish in the top 4.
Yeah.
But look on
At
the
the
other
bigger
side.
picture.
It's
Look at the
definitely-
bigger picture down the road. In 2-3 years, I'm going to have some solid players, young players.
Foundation.
That Ronaldo is not going to be around forever.
No. One more year.
Morata is not going to be around forever. Or the other
Chiellini,
older players.
Bonucci.
Chiellini,
They're all
Bonucci.
out.
You
Yeah.
have to think about the future. Of
course.
But Juventus' future is not Serie A.
It's
It's
Champions
the
League.
European picture to compete and reach the semifinals at least once every 2 years
Consistently.
consistently.
Let's get into the situation as we conclude.
The drama?
The drama.
Oh
Because
boy,
obviously
because
we have
everyone
to.
wants to.
I'm gonna be honest. I know everybody is so freaking confused. We've been asking people until an hour before the game. Oh, so is Napoli and Juventus gonna be playing? People that don't watch Serie A, that's not following. Every 10 minutes, it seemed like a new piece of news was coming out. Official statement, unofficial statement. I'm gonna try my best to recount what happened in the last 24 hours, and then we will examine it. Okay.
Exactly.
So yesterday there was news that Napoli would not be traveling to Torino based off of local health authorities saying Napoli cannot travel to Torino. That was what's being reported. They said, okay, they're not going to go to the game. The game is going to be postponed. A little while after, a couple hours after, it gets reported that no, it was not the health authorities that said not to go. It was Napoli that did not want to go to the game. Juventus post saying, we are taking the field. No matter what happens, we are taking the field. Serie A comes out and says the match is going on as follows. Nobody really knows what's happening. Napoli are still in Naples. They're staying where they're put because, of course, they've had a few coronavirus cases. Zielinski was tested positive. They had just played against Genoa the week prior. Where
Elmas was also positive.
Elmas was also
and
positive.
Gian Domenico Costi.
Who's that?
One of
part
the
of the
collaborators,
staff.
part of the staff.
Good insight. And they just played Genoa, who had over 14 cases of coronavirus. Where, yes, Napoli, the whole team did not get. They tested negative, but we know that with these tests, sometimes they're days late. Sometimes you need 2-3 tests to be able to test positive. Basically, the situation ended up developing that Juventus took the pitch with no Napoli in sight and are to be awarded. It will be decided on Tuesday if Juventus get the 3 points and with a 1 point deduction for Napoli for not taking the stance. Agnelli obviously gave a little press conference where he spoke a little bit. I'll read his 2 quotes. He said, I spoke to De Laurentiis, who wrote me a message yesterday asking to postpone the match, but I told him Juventus will abide by the rules and regulations set in place that tell us how to behave. If protocol changes, we will accept these changes. This is not the first time a team with positive COVID cases will be playing. That's all we know at this point. We're still waiting for official news. Ludovico, help me digest this a little bit because I'm even confused.
It's hard to digest. I mean, leave it up to the Italians to create the drama. But I think we have to go a little bit. This is, again, it's my opinion from reading and listening. I create my own internal mental package analysis. So I think it all started last week, meaning with the Genoa game. Genoa, 2 players from Genoa were found positive. And then they left on Friday. A second round of tests were done. And only those 2 players were positive. They did not go to Naples, and Genoa left for Naples, and they played the game. Now, what really surprised me, and I was thinking about this, Genoa arrives to Naples. We play the first half. Genoa is on the field. They're playing. Napoli is only winning 1-0. Second half, Genoa comes on the pitch, and the team collapses. They get 5 goals. Napoli wins 6-0. Now, here's my question. What happened in the locker room between the first and second half? Did a phone call arrive from Genoa saying, listen, guys, we're in deep trouble here. We have more positives. Now, the team loses 6-0. They get back on the plane. They go back to Genoa. Boom. Now we have 15 positives on Mondays or Tuesday, whenever it was. I don't remember. Now, did Genoa find out about the additional players being positive, players/staff, between the first and second half of the Napoli game? Possible, because the team did not show up. They were physically on the field, but they didn't play. Napoli could have scored even more goals if they wanted to. So this is what it's a little bit. So now Napoli thinks, okay, we have 2 players that are positive. So now we take the second round and we're negative. Those 2 players are going to stay back. We are going to leave. Now, are we going to come back and on Tuesday, based on the second round of tests, we're going to have 12, 13 positives again? That's what I think went through the Napoli organization's mind. That's what they thought about. But now you have a protocol. A protocol says that you must play the game. But I guess in this protocol, there's a loophole.
If you don't have I believe it's 10 cases. 10 to 13, then you have to play the game.
You have to play the game. But now there's a protocol. I believe there's a loophole in the protocol written by the Italian sport minister, Spadafora, saying that unless the local authorities, the health authorities, the regional, the Campania health authorities say that it is not safe for the team or to leave or to depart, then I guess this is the little that's not. So I guess the Napoli lawyers read through these words, and now Napoli feels comfortable that yes, they're going to be awarded. Juventus will be awarded the 3 points, 3-0 on Tuesday, plus the taking a point away.
Deduction.
But Napoli feels they could win.
The case.
They could win in appeal
four.
based on the authority, because the protocol was signed by every Serie A teams. But I guess they did not read everything about this loophole, that the authorities have this option, have this saying that they can tell a team not to travel and not to go from Napoli to Torino. That's what I think Napoli is basing their defense on, that in appeal they will win based on the medical authorities of the Campania region.
Okay, now I want to bring that up. Why do you think they didn't, like, if they really wanted to, they could have went, even though we said Elmas wasn't there, right? We said that Zielinski wasn't there, Insigne was injured. Do you think that's what they were betting on? Be like, okay, maybe we can postpone this another time. We can win the case and have it postponed when we have a full squad healthy. Do you think they played their cards in that way?
Well, I think they play their cards because according to what Napoli is saying, that ASL, ASL, is the local Campania region health ministry department.
Yeah.
They stopped the bus from departing, from going to the airport. They were not allowed the team to
fly
out and arrive in Torino. But now on the other side, Napoli was thinking about the Genoa game. Okay, are we going to go there? And Genoa also had 2 positives, and then come back here on Monday and Tuesday, we have 15 positives.
Yeah.
That's what I think is really behind it. Now, here's where I want to, and I'm going to take a stand. Was Napoli wrong in not going to Torino? Yes, Napoli was. I think Napoli should have traveled to Torino. But now we don't know what's behind it, if the authorities really stopped Napoli from leaving, or Napoli saying, okay, forget about the authorities. I'm not going to follow your decision. I'm still going to travel. Did Napoli have that option? That's what's not clear now, that you must listen to the local health authorities, or you can say, okay, you gave me your opinion, but I'm still going to catch my plane and I'm going to go. I think Napoli made that mistake that they should have gone. Napoli, the worry started during the week, because they felt that whatever happened to Genoa when they traveled back, it could happen to Napoli and have multiple positives on Monday and Tuesday. That's what I really think is behind it. Now we need now we need to fix this protocol that the sport minister wrote. It needs to be more binded. It needs to be more
foolproof,
bulletproof, that there's no more loopholes,
Yeah.
that the medical authorities can prevent a team from traveling south to north or north to north to south. But Napoli, I think if they had the option, they should have played the game. I think Napoli made the mistake not to play the game if they really had the possibility of traveling to Torino.
And I know a lot of people are saying that, oh, Napoli did not get stopped. They wanted to. Again, the problem that I have, honestly, I have a problem with everybody putting their own biases and their emotions ahead of what actually happened and reading the facts.
Correct.
Honestly, we are sitting here reading 17 different reports and trying to make our best judgment. What you're saying doesn't mean that it's true. What I'm saying does not mean it's true.
Right now, we're
still
only
do not
stating
know the
opinions.
facts.
Correct.
So people saying, Napoli, you're crybabies for not going. But you also have to take the health into consideration of Napoli, where you're not saying they, like, just like you said, maybe they don't want to come back with 14 cases. Everybody's immediately thinking, oh, they just don't want to play the game. But there's a lot more that goes into this situation that's more complex. Just because one team played, and I understand that it's the protocol, but if you don't agree with the protocol, or if there's a loophole around the protocol, I don't think there's any right or wrong. That's the thing. I don't think that there's any right or wrong. If Napoli feel a certain way, they're entitled to say, hey, we don't think it's a good idea to go because we just had this situation with Genoa where 15 people were tested positive. We don't think it's a smart idea to go. And I think that that should be a conversation that's had. And I think that, I know everybody wants to talk about this 3-0 on paper. My opinion doesn't hold up. I don't think there's any way that 3-0, Juventus are going to win this game 3-0.
That's what I think also. I mean,
On Tuesday.
would a Serie A team really not travel and lose 4 points?
Yeah, wouldn't make sense.
No.
And you thinking, I don't know, it's hard to think. So now, based on the protocol that was written prior to the start of the Serie A by the minister Spadafora of the Italian sports minister that everyone signed, okay, the judge is going to read that and going to say, okay, Juventus, you win 3-0. Now here comes the appeal. Now Napoli has to present letters, proof that they received a letter from the medical authority of the Campania region saying you're not leaving in order to win the appeal. Now you really need to present proof, and that we're not going to see that proof. We're not going to read that proof until the end of the week, most likely.
But again, in my opinion, it's just there's too much of everybody.
Nobody wants to lose 4 points.
No,
Absolutely. And I think that there's just this, rivalry is a great thing, but then when it turns into this, it's very disappointing to see, this should not be happening. You should not be doing this when nobody here understands the circumstances.
Logistics.
But
The dynamics behind it.
The
of
dynamics,
course.
this is an unprecedented situation. And I know everybody's a little bit to blame. Juventus, I'm sure you're to blame. Napoli, I'm sure you're a little bit to blame. Serie A, I'm sure you're a little bit to blame too. Everybody is, but we've never been through something like this. There are problems that are going to occur. And while I do agree that things should have been handled better, to me, in my opinion, it's embarrassing to see a team take the field just to get the 3 points in this situation where this should have been dealt with on that. It shouldn't have to get to the point where Juventus have to take the field to win 3 points. How is it not that there's a conversation between Napoli and Juventus? We don't feel like we should be doing this. Or to me, it's just an embarrassing sight to see Juventus arrive to the stadium. And I'm not saying embarrassing from whatever side. It's just, as a whole, it doesn't look good on us that Juventus arrived to an empty stadium.
It's not a good image for Serie A in general.
It's not. And that's my
Agreed.
perspective. I do not like to see that. I'm disappointed in all of us, Juventus, Serie A, and Napoli, for not being able to find the solution to not have to see this. Because it's a bad look. And I don't like hearing from people from other leagues. Like, Juventus arrived at a stadium empty, took the field, got the 3 points.
Yeah, the refs were there.
It's not nice.
They stepped on the field.
This is not how things should be done. And I understand it's unprecedented times. We're all learning. We're all trying to learn from the protocols, adjust them, make mistakes. But let's not try to bash everybody. And you did this,
100%.
you did this, you did this. Because we don't understand the dynamics of the situation.
Correct.
I
It's
think
not
that's
an
the biggest
image that
problem.
we want to bring
Portray
outside of
this-
Italy.
Exactly.
That
show
for the
this
Serie
happens
for
in
the
Serie
Serie
A.
A, that it only happens in Serie A. The drama that only happens in
Italy.
Serie A.
Yeah.
It's also multiple parties can be right. Napoli could be right for not wanting, even if they're against whatever the protocol was. They're also right for saying we don't care about the protocol. We want to keep the health of our players safe.
Right.
Juventus is also right saying, all right, we're listening to the protocol,
But we're
gonna
following
take
the
field.
league. We're following the
Serie A
protocol that
is
was
the same
signed
thing.
by.
We have a
Right.
protocol from UEFA. So they're all right. They're all right, and they're all wrong in their own ways. It's not that one is a devil and the other one is trying to force it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complicated than that.
Napoli feels confident they can win in appeal based on this loophole. And now
sure.
let's hope that this incident happened. This protocol, originally written prior to the start of the season, it will actually be fixed and will be bulletproof. So now you're not going to have incidents like this happening again throughout the season.
Absolutely.
But like Marco just said, the health of the population, the health of the people comes first. But in this case, it's the business that comes first.
And again,
and not the health of the.
I see a lot of Juventus fans in the comments very upset with us with the way that we're describing this, and I think that it's a little misconstrued. We're not saying that Juventus should not have taken the field. Technically, they have every
And
right.
I'm not saying that Napoli was right in not taking the field.
Exactly.
I'm also saying Napoli, I think they should have traveled to Torino if they had the possibility and not to listen to the local medical authorities. But that we don't know yet. I think we have to wait until the appeal, when the proof comes out in court or the judge.
Exactly.
And to make the decision and reverse the situation, if that's going to happen.
And again, I'm not saying that Juventus was wrong in taking the field. Technically, they followed every protocol. What the protocol said,
Absolutely.
They followed it. They took the field.
followed it.
They did
Agreed.
it. What else do you want them to do in that sense? And I just say
The refs showed up.
From a bigger perspective, I think that we could have done better. It's not Juventus could have done better. Napoli could have done better. I think we as a whole could have done better in this situation. It was a little disappointing to see. But, again, unprecedented times. I understand that mistakes will happen. These kind of situations, they're
now let's
unfortunate.
bulletproof this protocol so it doesn't happen again in the future. But again, I repeat, it's weird what happened the Genoa Napoli game. I find that really it's too many questions in my head that I still cannot answer.
There was like a different team that played on the field the second half. Right?
They never play. Then you go back. I mean, you're negative on. Well, we're not doctors here. We're just discussing soccer. But if you take a test today and you're negative,
but you take it tomorrow and you're positive.
You're positive 3-4 days later. Yes, I understand. 80% of the people of these players, they don't show symptoms. But they still go home to families, children,
and you can
parents.
They're not in a bubble. They're not in a bubble.
They're not. They went home. Yes, the Napoli players went home.
Still. Yeah.
It's funny. Somebody commented saying Mike is texting Marco right now on what to say. But what's funny is Mike actually texted me some news so that we can bring it out. This is the truth from Fabrizio Romano from Sky Italia, who said that Federico Chiesa is one step away from joining Juventus. The last details are to be sorted tonight, and then he will sign for Juventus. So that's the latest. That he's going, seems like Chiesa details to be sorted, and then joining. As we already discussed, if you just joined, you could scroll back and listen. Before we conclude, I want to remind everybody to like and subscribe on the video if you're new here. Ludovico, when we have you, I feel like we have intelligent conversations. We have
more reason, right?
Even if we all disagree with each other,
yes, but we respect each other's opinions.
We agree to disagree.
But also,
in a friendly
it's
manner.
usually, most of the time, they always say there's two sides to the story and then the truth, So, and I think that in every situation, there's always one perspective, and then you could find ways to agree on the thing, even if we disagree on something. So I think...
But you have to respect the other person's opinion.
Yeah.
I think that it was good. Anything else we missed?
Yeah, I just want to say one quick one because Ludo wasn't here for the beginning of the season for the podcast.
Okay.
We talked a lot about... No, it's a fun question.
I know. I think I know where it's going.
I don't think you do. It's we talked a lot about last season how Cheeto won Capocannoniere and all this stuff. This season... If you had to put your house on it, who do you think is gonna win Capocannoniere?
I'm not giving up my house.
You already got a little taste of a few games so far of what's going on. If you want, I can read you the top goal scorers. I believe Papu Gomez has the most goals.
Can I really put you on the spot? I would really love your top four and your Capocannoniere and your relegation.
And Papu Gomez 4 goals. He's by himself.
We all gave ours
with 4 goals. So I'll give you a minute. I don't want to rush the answer.
Let's start with the relegation. I think Spezia and Crotone. I think now it's to see the team, the third team that will go down. And I hate to see if Torino is not doing really really well, but that's also I think the coaches change and. Again, it goes back to what we said before. You have certain types of players. Now you bring in Giampaolo, that is a son of Sarri's way to play, and now you try to change, and now you're losing these games. But by the time you get this guy out for Christmas, it's going to be too late to get back into the in the standings in order to save yourself. So I think that was a mistake for Giampaolo. For Torino, my opinion.
Torino, not Giampaolo.
Are those your 3? Is Torino?
No, Torino is not the 3. I mean, it's hard right now to say.
You have your 2, and then
I have my 2, and then probably the other one. I hope it's not Benevento. Benevento right now is doing really, really well. Benevento is my second team, not because of they're from the same region as I am in the Campania, but it's also because I had great memories. I lived 1 year in Benevento, and I like the team, the organization, the colors, the blue and not the blue, the yellow and red, and there's some kind of emotional attachment with that. So I'm not gonna say on the third team because it's still too early.
Someone said Udinese haven't scored a single goal this season. Don't tell me that's true.
It cannot be true.
Udinese. Can you believe De Paul? What's your opinion on De Paul?
Oh my God!
But De Paul, I think that's a player that's ready to go.
I agree.
To go on a big.
To go it's not happening.
If you gave me the budget, that $60 million for Chiesa, I would buy De Paul before I buy Chiesa in the midfield. and then I would spend that money
Yeah.
on a fullback,
good.
a real wing back, like a Gosens or somebody like that.
He's not gonna go.
No, I know Juventus is not gonna get it, but I'm saying that's my opinion. Anyway, sorry.
So the top 4, then you
Top
have.
Wait, you didn't say the last.
No, he's not saying that.
It's too early to
Okay.
say
That's fine.
between the last,
Who's your top 4?
I just want to
13.
say one last thing. You put Crotone going down, right?
Crotone and
Crotone's from Calabria. Also, Amaro Delgapo's from Calabria too. So I'm just saying, if you bring them down, that's going down too.
and Spezia will be the other team. The third team, it's too early to
tell. Yeah, okay,
it's
that's
too
fair.
early to tell.
Top 4?
Top 4, I see Juventus.
First
Inter
place?
as top. Well,
Are you going in order?
no,
We
you
need
want
an
you want the
order.
top
No,
four
we
in
need an
order.
order.
Yeah, we
We
need
need
an
an
order.
order.
Yeah.
Well, like I said at the beginning, Inter cannot hide themselves.
Okay.
They have to go for the they have to go for the Scudetto. They have to compete for the Scudetto. Last year they lost it by 1 point. But again, the usual complaining. I didn't have depth. I didn't have this. I was missing that. This year he cannot hide himself.
Exactly.
Inter is there to win the Scudetto. That should be the primary
Goal.
objective.
Yes.
And the other objective is to pass the first round of Champions League with the players that you have. But that's a different animal, the Champions League. If that means if they click in Serie A and you're able to play in Serie A, that doesn't mean those players can perform the same way in Champions League. But that should be the second objective, at least to pass the first round of Champions League with the depth that you have.
Yes.
But Inter first, I see Juventus second, and then third and fourth place between Napoli and Lazio. The way Napoli, I see it this year, with the team that we have, and what we have seen so far, and the forward that we purchased, and Lozano that I said we did not purchase last year, we purchased this year, and if the team remains compact, I think Napoli can finish. Our objective should be the top 4, not the Scudetto. I mean, we're not going to win the Scudetto this year, and we're not going to win it in the near future, and not even a few years from now. But Napoli can definitely compete and do belong in the top 4.
Okay, you're giving Atalanta so much credit, and you don't even have them top 4. You're saying
No, I did say Atalanta.
I
No,
hear
you
say
didn't.
that.
I did, yes.
You said
You said
Napoli and
Lazio.
Milan.
You said
Napoli and
Lazio,
Milan.
Napoli.
No, I said Atalanta, Napoli, Inter, Juventus, and then Atalanta and Napoli
Okay.
for
I thought
either
you said
third
Lazio.
or
Okay.
fourth.
Okay.
Lazio, I do not see this year
Maybe
in
by
the top.
mistake.
I do not see Lazio in the top 4. I do not see Milan in the top 4. I do not see Roma in the.
Top
I think you said
In the
Lazio
top
by
4.
mistake.
I
think
yes,
you
I
might
did.
have said-
If
I
I
think
did Lazio,
He meant Atalanta.
I meant Atalanta.
Okay,
Which makes a lot more
okay,
sense,
'cause that's
yeah.
what I
So
was
it's Atalanta third, Napoli
Yeah.
fourth, or vice versa.
Because we were even saying before that Atalanta could compete.
But with a
for-
team like this, I think Napoli could definitely, with the depth. Now we got also Bakayoko. But what's it? How do you pronounce-
Bakayoko.
Bakayoko. I think we can have a serious. We could be contenders in the Europa League, as you have the team and the turnover to compete for Champions League spot in Serie A, and to also go as far as possible in winning the Europa League.
That's true.
We can make a really.
And he didn't answer the final question, no Capocannoniere.
By the way, we all already
tough one.
predicted this.
Yeah,
we
we
were all on
also-
the spot and we said I
we'll
don't remember
tell
it
you.
right now, but it's on video. We did it
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Well,
of the
it's
season.
hard for
up for
Immobile
grabs.
to repeat himself. Dzeko, it looks like a little bit he's lost.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit upset.
Yeah,
so
something.
That
poor
is
in the last game.
He missed 2 goals.
well, I'm gonna say for. I'm gonna choose. I'm really gonna go out of my way. I'm gonna choose Victor.
No. You bet your house on it? You're gonna be sleeping on the studio sofa if it's not
You think he's gonna?
Capocannoniere.
You think?
I think he's gonna.
He's
Yes,
a right
right now
winger.
he hasn't been scoring, but I think sooner.
Capocannoniere.
I think. Well,
That's crazy.
I know I'm being a little. I'm pushing.
You're pushing.
But it's probably for good luck, and I think
Okay, I
that
respect
in
it.
the Napoli formation and the 4-3-3 and the 4-2-3-1, right now he's getting used to Serie A. He did play well both games, 30 minutes
he
and the
did.
full game. He created a lot of space. Is the forward that Napoli needed, and if he starts scoring, a guy has
be on
tremendous
fire.
speed, and he has players behind him that can support him. The attacking midfielder Zielinski and Fabian Ruiz, I think he could do really well. I think he could score 20 goals this
I like
season.
the way he thinks.
Big Vittorio.
It's exciting. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed special podcast. Ludo, amazing to have you back.
My
Your
pleasure,
insight is
guys.
always
Happy
welcome.
football to everyone.
And now we can at least all the comments that we're asking for Ludovico, and now they can relax a little bit and they can
Yeah.
enjoy the podcast.
Until next
which
one.
will be able
Hopefully
to-
soon.
See you guys soon. See you guys next time.
Yes.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yes, as always, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao,
Ciao,
ragazzi.
guys. Forza Napoli sempre, right?
Sempre.
Sempre.
We're off the air.